Daniel, it is wonderful to have you on Uncover Wealth Radio today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
So, Daniel, one thing when I was reading about you that massively struck out to me is that you tell people to stop meditating. Now, this, as I shared before we hit record, is very powerful to me at the moment because I have actually just started meditating. So, Daniel, Tell me, why should I not bother? Why should I stop?
I didn't say don't bother.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, so it was deliberately ambiguous.
Okay.
It's deliberately ambiguous because you've got stop meditating as in stop this whole meditating movement. And then there's, okay, now you've meditated, stop and get on with the rest of it, which is where I come in.
Nice.
So, I've been in personal development, but more the mind and the inner world and consciousness for about 20 years. I don't look that old. I'm not that old. I started very young. And over that time, especially over the last, say, 5 years, I've been more into the spiritually consciousness side of the personal development. Have really been saddened by how many people get lost in the sexiness of it and don't do anything with it. They're always running off to the next shaman thing, or I know people that literally meditate for 4 or 5 hours every morning.
Wow.
And they still hate their life. I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something else that we should be doing. And my ethos, my philosophy, my teachings really center around the idea that we're not just a spiritual body, energy being. We've got a physical body. We have a mental experience that we have, and we have a measurable energetic experience. But all of these things come together to create the outcomes that we experience as our life.
Yeah. So we should meditate?
We should. Or whatever practice energizes, feeds, and nourishes us at an emotional, energetic level. And for everyone, it's not going to be meditation.
Yeah.
There are some people who have been meditating for years and they don't really click into anything. There's no expansion. There's no yumminess for them because that's not necessarily their path.
Nice.
Another thing that I kind of you've got to think this guy just complains about everyone. Another thing that I speak up about is this whole idea of the cookie cutter approach to growth and expansion. We're all different. We've all had different experiences. We've all got different places that we're coming from. Meditation, as meditation is traditionally taught, won't be for everybody. Maybe your way of connecting in is going to be ecstatic dance, or it's going to be spending time in nature, or it's just going to be enjoying silence, or it's going to be, I know some people that for them playing an instrument is meditation. I studied Tantra. Sometimes Nookie is going to be your meditation. Whatever it is for you, but take the time out to find out what it is for you rather than just following the crowd. And I just saw Angelina Jolie meditating. That's what I'm going to do now. Find your own path.
Yeah, I really, really love that, Daniel, because actually, we think that, okay, well, if I can just tick this stuff off, if I can tick, right, so today I've journaled, tick, I've meditated, tick, I've written my gratitude list, tick, okay, where's the happiness? Surely this is my prescription for the good stuff. Where's that? Or where's my business success? Or whatever it is for you that you're seeking. It's kind of like, I've done this stuff now. I've done this work. This is me doing the work. I've ticked the list. When's the good stuff come?
That's like just going straight to the pharmacist without actually having gone to the doctor. So I saw that Brad Pitt, that's the thing about celebrities today. I saw that Brad Pitt took this medication. I'd like it, please. And then why am I not a movie star?
And my ailment fixed also.
Yeah, what's going on? So taking time to get out to know yourself, I think it's a really big part of the process because again, we've all had our different paths, we've all had our different journeys, and it's by honoring our own journey, honoring our own truth, our own experience, testing, feeding into experiencing what works for us individually, and then moving forward. That's when we get those goodies at the end.
And how do we figure out what works for us? Is it just a question of trying lots of things and seeing what we like?
So when I'm working with people, I do a lot of stuff with archetypes.
Mm.
And you can actually start to find out a lot about yourself to get a starting place. Just sort of peppering the board with stuff probably isn't that effective.
Yeah.
Versus, you can use different personality tests and so on and so forth to build a model for you and then start from there, you know? So let's say, for example, you were doing your, I don't know, your Myers-Briggs. I'm just putting one out of my hat that most people are probably going to recognize.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, okay, well, I'm probably not going to align with anything that does that sort of thing or that sort of thing. And I may find some joy or success with that sort of thing. I can at least zero it in and play with things in that wheelhouse and then see what kind of works for you. And then or even look at people that are more like you. Me going out to, I don't know, look at an Eskimo and so what's your experience? Yeah. We've probably got nothing in common, right?
Yes.
Whereas if I did find someone in their 30s, had a similar upbringing, maybe there's going to be something to that. They've achieved some success. Let me kind of have a look at what's going on with them. Again, it's a starting point, not for me to carbon copy their path, but for me to, okay, they do that and they do that and blah, blah, blah. And go from there.
Nice. I like it. So when we are on this kind of journey to find out what works for us, what are the telltale signs that something is working? Is it that happiness factor, that joy factor? How do we know when we found the right thing?
Do you know what I love about this whole thing is that so many people are making so much money selling courses for $997 on Instagram.
They are.
Cutting something you know already. Very, very simple. The universe is not a complicated place. It's very simple. Your environment does not lie. So look at your life. And I ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I just want to say that I've done it? In which case you won.
Yeah.
Here's your award.
Because you got your tick.
You've got your tick, right? The gods and all the angels have written your name in the heavens, like it's done. Or you could be looking for something tangible. And this is one of the reasons why I've started the Stop Meditating movement, because there are a lot of people feeling really great, but hate their lives. Your life is crap, mate. Like you can't pay your bills. You're lonely. You want love and you're not having it. Your health's down the pan.
Something needs to change.
Yeah, you're probably not a great poster child for meditation right now. Let's take you off the list. You're no longer a sponsored meditator. So if I'm saying what I truly desire is a more abundant life, and I'm all about empowering people living more abundant, joyful, purpose-driven life. So I feel that abundance is our natural state. If you look at nature doesn't actually have lack. The only time lack shows up in nature is when humans get involved. Other than that, nature always has everything that it needs and more. We are biological beings, so we should have that same experience, but the mind gets in the way. So we're looking at abundance. So for me personally, I'm asking, do I have an abundance in my health, in my relationships as I desire it, and in my financial state? Do I have choice to experience life as I want to experience it? That's me personally. For you, it might be something different. There are some people for whom they've got the health taken care of, and you know what? They're really happy on their own. Not they've been traumatized and hurt, and so I shun the world. No, but they genuinely are happy by themselves. So they're not going to be looking at that. There are some people for whom they don't necessarily want to fly first class. They're quite happy flying economy. They don't really necessarily need to go on holiday. They're happy with a one-bedroom flat. They are genuinely happy. For some people, it's got to be a G, what do they call it? The Gulfstream 650.
Oh, yes.
The latest thing is.
No idea.
The latest Dubry, what's it? And that's what, unless I had that, I would be happy. All of these things are just measuring sticks for me personally, showing us our ability to create that thing because we can exercise our will to have that thing. So I consider it to be successful when the life that I genuinely want to live is the life that I'm living. Whatever that looks like for you. And for different people, it's going to be different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell me, how does that feed into things like manifestation and manifesting what we desire, and that being part of the system.
Can I give you a secret?
Yeah, do.
Manifesting is another one of those words that was appropriated so people can sell 997 courses on Instagram.
Yeah, see, I thought that might have been the case.
I mean, let's look at what manifesting is. What is manifesting? It's having things coming to you. Like, what is it? It's one of these words that's been sexied up. So,
It is.
learn the power of manifestation. Be a boss babe who manifests. Be an alpha, divine creator God man who manifests.
Yes.
Everybody's manifesting all of the time. The fact that you're experiencing reality, this is not like a woo-woo thing. It's been scientifically demonstrated that reality unfolds as we observe it unfolding. We're always manifesting. But the thing is, are we manifesting what we consciously desire? So yes, I still use the word manifesting, but in my lexicon, it's unfolding what we consciously desire rather than just sort of knocking out a repetition of our unconscious programs, giving us stuff that we don't really want, what doesn't make us happy.
So with that in mind then, what is, if anything, the difference between taking action to achieve our results and manifesting what we desire?
Manifesting doesn't happen without action. And I think that people need to stop buying 997 courses on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or wherever they're doing. I'm gonna. This is my one thing that I'd love to say. And caveat: I did create a tool. The money game.
Course on.
Wait. It's not 997, so don't worry. I did create a tool called the money game, which does start to change the relationship to the manifestation of money. But there is still work involved. And I think this is the piece that people lose sight of.
Yeah.
Action and work, two different things. There is always going to be work. There isn't necessarily going to be action, but there is always going to be work.
Interesting.
Because in order for me to be aligned with the experience of something coming to me without taking action, I need to break my relationship with reality as it is now, where I may believe that I must take action. So that's going to be work. I actually say that this idea that people have of manifesting without taking action, for many people, the work that's involved is going to be so much because it's so deeply ingrained into them, they might as well not bother. They might as well just carry on working hard.
Yeah.
Maybe just take the edge off and make it a bit more fun, but not bother because it's going to be a lot of work because you've spent, I mean, look, put it this way. Let's say we're 15 years old, me and you, teenagers kicking it in the park. That means that we've spent 15 years practicing and learning to be the person that we are today.
Yeah.
Even if you factor in the whole unconscious mind, analytical mind thingy, not kicking in until about 6 or 7, you've still spent 8 years practicing, learning, being the person that you are today. I'm 37 years old in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
I turned 40 this week, so
oh yeah, happy belated. Yes, I saw 26. Happy belated.
Yes,
but we've spent decades practicing. If someone's learning to play an instrument, they can probably lock it down in 2 or 3 years. And that's, finger thing. It takes on average, apart from jiu-jitsu, which I do, which is hard work, you can get a black belt in many martial arts within 5 years. That's being able to do Bruce Lee stuff. 5 years. We're talking decades, building the neural pathways, learning and building in and ingraining those habits and everything that makes us the person that we are. And you think a week of watching a video on YouTube is going to change your experience? Come on, bro.
That is a very, very fair point. So what do we need to do to I mean, that just makes it feel like a mountain to climb.
But mountains,
and maybe it is
in one step, it might be for you. Again, we've all got different experiences. For some people, it's going to be a molehill. For some people, it is going to be Everest, and they may not reach the top. But guess what? Even if you get halfway up the mountain, you're a lot better than you were on the ground. And I think in terms of honoring who we are as humans, we're fallible, we're mortal, we make mistakes, we're not perfect. When we honor and own that, and are just, loving and gentle with ourselves and just accept and celebrate the steps that we do make, then who cares if we get all the way? We've had fun, we've had an adventure, we've celebrated ourselves, we've enjoyed the process of making our way up the mountain as far as we get out of the mountain.
And what about people that say, that's all very well, Daniel, but, I have a busy life. I am running a business. I've got kids. I've got this. I've got that. I've got this other thing. Like, when on earth am I going to find time to, do all this work on myself and all this other stuff?
If it matters to you, you do it. And if it doesn't, you won't. And either way, I'm still going to live a kick-ass life.
Yeah.
So bye, Felicia.
Yeah.
And I think especially people that do this sort of work of personal development, I think sometimes, and I suffered this too, we can get so caught up in trying to bring a change into someone's life. We can actually lose sight of the fact that the desire that someone has to actually create a change is going to be reflected in the work that they do to make a change. Yeah. If I want something, I'll go for it. And if I don't, I won't. So it's not, we're responsible to people, not for them. Yeah. I'm very, people, how can people work with you one-on-one? I don't really let people just walk in and work with me one-on-one. And I often say no to people working with me one-on-one because I put a lot into that. Yeah. And I'm not really interested in putting that work into someone who's not ready to meet me at least halfway, Yeah. I did quite a controversial video called Stop Lying a couple of years ago. People got very upset when I did this video. You can't say this. And I was like, just stop lying. You don't really want to change. Yeah. So stop wasting people's time. You don't want, and I'm sure you see this in your work as well with people like, oh yeah, I want to sort my finances out and all of this and that. And then they don't follow any of your instructions. Yeah. They don't do any of the budgeting. They're not doing the thing and they're not. And then they're like, oh, why isn't it working? You're like, bro, you're not doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Because we gave you this step and this step and this step and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. And I think the sooner that people understand that the unconscious mind is a terminator, it's a perfect executing machine. Whatever goal the unconscious mind has, it always does. When you understand that, and that because of that, you've never really failed at anything. You've just succeeded at what you unconsciously want and not what you consciously want. Then you realize that when someone's doing something, procrastination, sabotage, really, those are, they're kind of deceptive because the unconscious mind is getting what it wants. It didn't want to do it because it was told not to do it. The unconscious mind doesn't have an opinion. It's not like, oh, well, I don't feel like doing that today, Annette. I'm going to watch Netflix instead. It doesn't do that. It's like, it goes to the blueprint. It says, the blueprint says that we are in lack and we're sad and lonely and unhealthy. Yeah, this instruction that comes, it doesn't match the blueprint. It's a no from me, Monty. Yeah. And that's what happens.
Wow. So how on earth do we get our unconscious mind to in inverted commas, the right place for us?
I love that inverted commas.
Well, it kind of is because there's no right, is there? It's kind of way. So that's what I mean by the sort of inverted commas bit of it, because there is no right. But how do we get it to the place that we logically believe we want to be?
Okay, let's ask this question first. Did we wake up this morning with a combination of ideas that became the blueprint that we're running from? No. No. It didn't magic out of nowhere. No. It built over time. And how did it get built? It got built because ideas were reinforced, reestablished, and retained and entertained at an unconscious level and imprinted until that became the blueprint. So we just use the same method that worked before. Why are we going to reinvent the wheel? Just go back to what worked before. So look at the inputs. First of all, we have to understand the language of the unconscious mind. Many of us are hitting ourselves over the head, trying to speak Japanese to the unconscious mind that speaks English. Like, konnichiwa, arigato, what's going on? It's like, just speak English to the unconscious mind. So what language does it speak? Well, it doesn't speak words. It speaks imprints. The emotional context means more than the words that we're saying. So how are we speaking to ourselves? What inputs are we giving? What environment are we giving our mind to take in? What evidence are we presenting to the mind that supports this new idea that we're giving? So polluting our environment with inputs spoken in the language that the mind speaks that speak to that new program will create the new program, just the same way that the program that we have now was built in the first place. Over time, consistently holding that narrative as true. That's what we need to do. Be very conscious in what we're feeding our mind. Doing so over a consistent basis, continuing to make conscious note of that, anchoring that in and allowing it to be presented as a safe new norm.
Wow. That's amazing. It really is. It really is amazing. And I'm sure that all our listeners are also saying wow, because you make it sound so simple.
It is simple. It's not easy,
No?
but it's simple.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where the work comes in.
That's where the work comes in.
So tell us a little bit more about the money game that you
The money
mentioned.
game. I personally look at reality in terms of the different aspects of ourselves as they show up. People hear the word, oh, what's your vibe, bro? My vibration's high, my vibration's low,
Yes.
I'm on the right frequency. Again, someone selling courses on Instagram. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what that really is. Your frequency is measurable. Your emotional state is the first point of contact with frequency. So you can look to your emotional state as being a self-measuring stick as to where your frequency is. Because our emotions are the first point of contact with vibration. And vibration is just the measurable aspect of where our emotional state is. There's a symbiotic relationship between the two. So we've got that. Then we've got our mind, our beliefs, our stories, our narratives, which I believe is the gatekeeper to our experience. The reticular activating system in our mind literally shuts down if we don't believe something's possible. If someone doesn't believe they can do something, they'll be blinded to the opportunities of that being possible for them. One of my mentors, one of the world's leading money mindset coaches, a guy called David Nagel, who shares a story about when he first started doing this work like 20, 30 years ago, whatever it was. He tripled his income in like a month. But the opportunity that he used to triple his income had been in his life for 2 years, but he didn't see it. But when he changed how he was showing up, he found himself open to an opportunity that had been there. Income's tripled.
Wow.
Right. So when you even look at I think it was when the Portuguese first came to like the Amazons, right? Some of the people couldn't see the ships. They were physically blinded to the ships because they didn't believe it. It was so far outside of their realm of belief that they didn't see it. And as fantastic as that sounds, a lot of us are doing that in our lives. I'm sure some of your listeners are doing this too. They say, oh, I want to increase my income by 10% or 20%. I want to do this. I want to do that. Opportunity comes up. Either they don't see it, they don't recognize it, or they immediately start telling themselves stories as to why they can't have it or why it's not going to work.
Yeah.
There are people listening to this podcast right now that are doing that. Oh, yeah, I would do that. But he doesn't know the trauma that I went through. I've done all those courses on Instagram. It didn't work for me. Like I saw my shaman and he told me in a past life, this and that and blah, 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 bloop, bloop. Right. They're already shut down. So, the beliefs, right. And then we've got how we're showing up. It doesn't matter how many mind movies or vision boards I make about me being abundant, how many rampages I do on YouTube in the morning, how much I meditate. If I'm sitting on my butt, not actually taking any action aligned with what I said I desire, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to change. So I talk about the flow funnel. I speak about in my book, Stepping Beyond Intention. That's the main book about my work. And the money game takes those principles and starts to apply it specifically to creating abundance, giving us a playbook for the work that we can do in order to change the relationship so that we do have an alignment to manifesting abundance without needing to take action. That's the key thing about the money game. So it starts to shift the beliefs by following this model of changing the evidence that mind has got, changing the experience emotionally to money in baby steps, not trying to turn around and do it overnight, but take the steps to actually create change. But the really cool thing is when you take the steps in baby steps, often the quantum leap happens. I do a 5-day challenge every now and then where I take people through the steps of the money game online. And the current record is 75,000 Australian dollars manifested in 2 days.
Wow.
Before that, the recorded record was $50,000 in about a week. Gosh. Before that, it was £27,000 in 3 days. And although for the purpose of the exercise, we're just trying to quote unquote manifest £10, dollars or euros, whatever your currency is, the average when I do a challenge is around 1,800.
Gosh.
Within that 5-day period. That's the average.
And do you put that down to, I mean, obviously, clearly you're explaining kind of steps to people, but is that often because actually they are starting to see things that weren't there, that they couldn't see before, the ships example?
Sometimes. And sometimes it's that, I mean, it depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. I live right at the bottom of the rabbit hole. I'm there. I've got the crazy hat.
You're with the bunnies.
I'm having tea with the bunnies. Like I'm down there. But I've been in this crazy world for a very, very, very long time. I do energy reading and, I do astral work and I meditate every morning and that kind of stuff. Right. That's me. It doesn't really matter where you are in the rabbit hole, or even because the principles of how the universe works are still the same. What matters is how esoteric your relationship is to that. Because if we just want to deal with science and stay there, sort of looking at the rabbit hole, then we've got the observer effect, that reality actually unfolds according to what we expect to happen. So we've got Schrodinger's box of money rather than Schrodinger's box of cats, right? So when people have things that, like I've had people in my programs get tax returns for taxes they hadn't filed yet. And in fact, so the $50,000 win, they got a tax rebate for taxes they hadn't filed.
That's so weird.
Right? The whole people randomly just giving them, like I had one guy, and it was so funny because when I first launched my signature program, Micro to Millions, a couple of years ago, there were a few like down the rabbit hole people like me. We opened up a Facebook group and it was a bit more, I didn't really monitor it as much at the beginning. And people, I see it. I closed my eyes and I could connect with the energy of my money. And there was this one guy there, called Josh Crisp. And he was like, Dan, I don't think I'm in the right group. People said that they saw something in the field. What is this? Oh, this is too weird, bro. Like, I can't do this. And it's really funny because he didn't have the money to pay for the program in full. So he did he broken it up. And he's like, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Like, what's going on here? This is too weird. Like, people are talking about the field. What's this field? What's this quantum field? I don't get it. I said, bro, just chill, relax, just enjoy the ride. What's for you is what's for you, but don't worry. A week later, people just randomly started paying him back money that they owed him, money that he'd written off. Like a few hundred here, a few hundred there. Like people just randomly. He's like, dude, I don't know what's going on. People are just contacting me out of the blue to pay me back money they owe me.
Wow.
I said, okay, cool. Then his business partner's like, hey, I just got a $25,000 credit card to put some money into the business out in the blue. Then a couple of weeks within a couple of weeks of him starting, then he finds out that he's a beneficiary in a class action lawsuit for $4 million.
What? It's insane.
All of this happens like within the first month. And then within a couple of months, like he took the 25,000 investment in his business. And his business now, I checked in on him a couple of months ago. He'd had like a $200,000 a month in his business. His business has been doing 6 figures a month since last June. Right? Now, we could say that he didn't see things, or we could say that things came to him because he was looking at reality different. It depends on where you are in the rabbit hole. I'm Schrodinger's box of money. That's where I'm at. I firmly believe that of the infinite number of possibilities that are available for us for the upcoming moment, we will be aligned with the one that we're aligned with. We get what's a match for where we are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Daniel, this discussion has been incredibly interesting for me, incredibly eye-opening. I have a lot more work, study, all that stuff to do.
Well, I'll tell you what we do.
Using the wrong terminology also.
just make sure that you get Amy your address. We'll ship you over a box of books. We'll get you over the Money Game and some other.
Awesome! That will be amazing.
Yeah, we'll get that
and Daniel, for our listeners, how can they find out more about you? Where can they connect with you? All that good stuff.
Best place is always dreamwithdan.com. I'm actually doing a free workshop on the 15th of November. I don't know if it's going to be in time for that.
We might manage to get that out before then, actually.
So the 15th
let's see what
of
we
November,
can do. We've
got a workshop happening where I'm going to be teaching all of these ideas and principles specifically around creating a successful business.
Great.
So breaking the relationship that they have currently to creating wealth and deliberately overlaying it with creating a successful business. So how do you create that flow? How do we create that alignment to success in it? How do we change the narrative? What are some hacks to do that? Again, it's not like free, and then I'm going to speak for 15 minutes and sell them stuff for like, it's
Yeah.
going to be 3 hours of content. I'm going to be teaching basically what it is. I'm recording a workshop that I will be sending later.
Great.
But I feel better when I've got an audience.
Yeah.
So I'm basically, for people giving me the space to have that, I'm letting them have access to the live recording of that free. So that's going to be good fun.
Where can we register for that?
dreamwithdan.com/BSW.
Lovely. We'll also put the link to that in the show notes as well, so people can click through for you on that one too. I will certainly be registering for that, so I hope that lots of our listeners will be as well.
Yeah, we're excited to have you there. But yeah, everything's on my website, all the social media.
Great.
I've started tweeting a bit more now as well, so you can get my random thoughts and such.
Perfect. Well, that is awesome. Like I say, we'll put all the links in the show notes for everyone to connect with Daniel. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. My eyes have been opened, and I'm sure other people's have as well. So thank you so much. And I will continue meditating now after our discussion. So I'm not going to bin that off. So thank you, Daniel, again, and we'll speak really soon. Take care.
Definitely. Thank you.